Stephanie, and today I am answering your school-related questions. A couple videos ago, I asked for you to tweet me and ask any questions at all you had, and I just picked some, and now I'm going to answer them. The first question comes from my little cousin, actually. Hey Matthew, what's up? Matthew asks, did you know what you wanted to be while in high school? Not at all. I had no clue. I think it's really insane to ask somebody to know specifically what they want to do for the rest of their lives while in high school, because that's never the case. When I went into community college, I started off as an architecture major, and I gave that a chance for about a year and a half, but then I realized I really didn't want to be in that field as my career, so I switched majors. And never feel guilty for changing your mind, because making a decision when you're 17 or 18 that is supposedly set in stone, that doesn't make any sense. You're gonna change your mind about things, you're gonna develop and figure out who you are. I think that the first 2 years of college are actually really important for personal development. I know a lot of people think that it's a waste of time because, at least in the US, the first 2 years of college are a lot of very general classes that aren't very major specific. But that time is a time for you to figure out if that is truly what you're interested in, to perhaps try out other things, and just to further your general education. So no, I did not know what I wanted to be in high school, and if you don't know, that's perfectly fine. Alexandra asks, how did you manage to keep it all together while going to school, having a job, and a social life? I'm going mad over here. I completely understand where you're coming from. I've had a part-time job since I was 14, working in food and beverage, so all throughout high school and college I was, going to school, had a job, and tried to be social. And I think the biggest thing is obviously scheduling everything and keeping to a schedule. I would, at least weekly or bi-weekly, just make sure to write everything out and make a checklist for every single day. I still make checklists pretty much every day. I find it very satisfying to X out a box, and then you have a whole list of things that you've done and you feel accomplished. So as long as you keep a schedule, if something pops into your head that you have to do, just write it down right away, in your phone or on a piece of paper that you wouldn't lose, because if you forget about it and it creeps up on you, that could really mess things up for you. So just make sure to write everything down. Don't procrastinate. You all know this. Don't procrastinate. Procrastination is the enemy. It will just totally ruin your schedule and really mess you up. And I think also you need to take time out for yourself. I know people who actually went through mental breakdowns because they were working so hard, doing school so rigorously, that they didn't take any time out for themselves, and it just totally messed them up. So go get a coffee with a friend, watch a TV show that you want to see a live band for even just half an hour at night if you can. Just take that time out for yourself and it'll really help you. Kay asks, were you the type to make a lot of friends in school? All the way up through high school, I was super shy. I think I had bad friendships when I was younger, so I was kind of jaded from that, and I just didn't really trust people too much, so I wasn't really open to a lot of friendships, which looking back, I really should have been more open to people, and I don't think I was really even looking or trying to look for friends in the right place. And I remember, this is so crazy, on the very last day of my high school experience, I was in a class where everybody was signing yearbooks and stuff, and I was always the kind of person who would walk around from class to class with my headphones in and just not interact with anybody. I just always had my headphones in no matter what, and there was this boy in this one class I had who was the exact same way. He always had his headphones in. We had never even really interacted too much before, but I remember I was sitting next to him on the very last day of school, and I hear out of his headphones someone I was familiar with, and I asked him, I was like, are you listening to Massive Attack? And he was like, yeah, I'm listening to Massive Attack. And then we started getting into a conversation about all the bands that we were into, and he liked Portishead and Massive Attack and Tricky and Flying Lotus, I remember, and I was like, oh my god, we have so much in common, this is crazy. And I remember we just had a moment where it was wow, we went through all these years of schooling without knowing this about each other, because neither of us ever put in any effort to know one another. After that, we talked online a few times, but it's not the same as going to school with somebody every day, and we missed out on a probably really great friendship we could have had. So actually, when I transferred to Davis, UC Davis, from community college, I knew that I needed to put myself out there more. So the local college radio station, KDVS, always held really cool house shows for bands coming through the area. So I just started to go to these house shows at different houses in Davis by myself. And eventually I just started meeting people who were, you know, there all the time as well. And I met like the first real group of friends ever. And it was so amazing. I never experienced that kind of friendship where they didn't want to be friends with me for a certain reason. They didn't care how I looked or any kind of social status. It was like, hey, I want to be friends with you because you seem like a nice person and I just want to get to know you and be homies. And that was the first time that ever happened to me, and it was so insane. So I just want to tell you all, if you're having issues with friends, like, people like that are out there. And I don't think that the people in Davis, my friends I made there, understand how much of an impact they made on my life. Like, their love and acceptance of me completely shaped like how I view people right now in my life. So yeah, they're out there. These next couple of questions are actually along the lines of friendship as well. Sarah asks how to deal with fake friends. When it comes to fake friends, I say drop them. That may seem kind of harsh, but if they're truly your fake friend and not trying to be your friend, then you don't need that in your life. You have enough crap going on in your daily life that you don't need to deal with someone's toxic energy in your world. I personally have definitely dropped people that have not been friends with me for the right reasons, and I have no regrets because there are other people, like I said, out there who will be friends with you purely because they are good people and they want to get to know you. On that same subject, try not to feed the pot, you know. In the end, all you have is your dignity and your word, and there's no point in just talking and saying words just to be part of a conversation or the center of a conversation, because in the end, that's not going to help you or benefit you in any way. It's really not. And I know it can be hard to try and drop people who run in your same circles, so in that case, if you interact with them, just be completely civil, you know, just be civil or even extremely nice, but know that they're not, it's hard to deal with if you know that they're not really your friend. Just treat them as an acquaintance. You have to know that not everyone is gonna like you. That's just how the world is. Not everyone's gonna like you. And then this actually ties into the next question. Thumri asks, how do you do your best and not care what people think of you? When I think about this question, I think about a quote that Jen actually told me a little bit ago by Azealia Banks, and ever since she told me this quote, it's just stuck in my mind. It's so amazing. And the quote is, your problems with me are not my problems, those are your problems. If someone has an issue with you that is based on something real, then perhaps maybe you two should work things out. But if their problems are based off of something that is an ideal in their mind, like the way you dress or the way you talk or the way you look or your interests, then that is based off of their insecurities and what they think is right or cool. And it has nothing to do with actually who you are. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. And I think everyone needs to just make peace with that. There are certain people who won't like you for absolutely no valid reason. And if you truly care about that person and you care about their friendship, then perhaps you should try and help them see your perspective. But if not, hopefully in the future one day they will see their faults in that. But in the end, you just need to keep doing you, and there will be people out there who accept you and love you for who you are if you genuinely put yourself out there. Alright, so moving out of the friend zone, Rachel asks, I'm currently doing my HSC, final exams for uni entry score. Advice for studying and absorbing information for those behind. I would definitely say use different medians for the same subject. Don't use the same exact process over and over again, because it won't actually stick in your brain. You won't actually learn the information, if that makes sense. So in class, I'll bring my computer and I'll pretty much type up the lecture. Then I go home and I like to physically write things, so I will write out the lecture in different points, like on a piece of paper. Then I transfer that onto note cards into more concise points. And then my final stage of studying would be to like write out things like from memory. I know that can sound really crazy. That is also, you know, if you have a much longer period of time or if you are being extremely prepared. I know a lot of my classmates actually use this site called Quizlet, where you can type in information and it'll create quizzes for you. So it'll word things in a way that you would not word it, and you can kind of quiz yourself. And if you learn things in all different ways, your brain will actually know it instead of try and memorize it, because memorizing it will put it into just short-term memory and it won't actually be absorbed into your brain. But if you do things in different ways, it'll actually go into your long-term memory, and you will actually try and recall the information and sometimes even remember specifically the moment, you know, that you really put that information into your brain. If you are behind, you really need to be smart about what you study. So is it going to be more beneficial for you to know a little bit about everything or a lot about one specific thing? Sometimes in a test, if I know that, you know, a test is going to be 70% one thing, 30% the other, I'm going to study the 70% a whole lot more than the 30%. And you know, that is always a gamble, but sometimes you have to do that because you really need to plan out your time, and sometimes you just have no time to study everything. It's insane to try and know everything. So yeah, create a time schedule for your studying habits. Switch out where you're studying. So if you first are studying at your desk for an hour, take a break, and then perhaps move to the dining room table, take a break, and then move somewhere else, because that will actually help your brain remember information better, which is crazy as it sounds. That's actually a study that I learned in school, is that if you study in different places, it'll actually help you recall information better, because you might think like, on a test, like, oh, like, what is this information? Like, if you think back, like, when was I really learning this? And you can be like, oh, I was sitting at my desk drinking my, like, chai latte. And maybe you don't actually recall that specifically, but that is somewhat in your brain. Also, make sure to take breaks. That's a huge thing. Take breaks, like, every 40 minutes, jump up and down or something. You really need to pull yourself away and then go back in, because after a while, I know, you know, like, you're studying and then 10 minutes goes by and you're like, wait, what did I even read? So definitely make sure to take breaks, and make your breaks a reward so that you actually earned it. I would say turn your Wi-Fi off if you can, and as a reward, you know, go on the internet for 5 minutes and really limit it to that, like, time yourself. I think those are all the kind of things that I did to help myself really concentrate in school. Step on a monkey ass. What did you major in at UC Davis, and did your major continue on to your career now? I majored in psychology and minored in sexuality studies, and I think this goes for anyone who majors in psychology. It's because I was very interested in my mind and why I think and act in a certain way, and I was also interested in why others think and act in those ways as well. Same goes for sexuality studies. I was very interested in my sexuality and interested in how others viewed sexuality, and this is also how psychology and sexuality studies tie together, because I was interested in why people view sexuality in a certain way, why it is stigmatized, why people have just like certain ideas about what's right and wrong, and how it is applied to their daily lives. I'm just overall very interested in the mind and how it is correlated to why we do things and act certain ways. So I've actually never said this in a video, but I was going to grad school for acupuncture and Chinese medicine, but I recently decided to take a break from grad school because my schedule was getting so crazy and I was missing too much school, and it was a really hard decision for me to make because, you know, like, any time that you stop school, that's a huge decision. But I knew that, honestly, I really wanted to pursue YouTube and do this. I love making videos, I love editing videos, and I just really wanted to give this a chance. So it was a crazy decision to make, but I'm really happy that I made it. And my undergrad experience, you know, made a huge impact on my time in grad school and on me currently right now. A lot of acupuncture treatments are based on emotional conditions and emotional issues, so understanding that through my psychology background was totally helpful, and understanding how to speak to people, how to phrase things to patients, because especially with someone who's trying to gain help from you, knowing how to speak about something and presenting something in a certain way makes all the difference. And also, actually, through my sexuality studies courses, I started doing an internship with the Health and Wellness Center at UC Davis, and this internship was based around sexual health. And I don't know if every college has this, but we had a condom cart that we would take around to every campus event, and we would do condom demos and show people how to properly and safely, you know, use the protection, and we just spoke to people about any of their questions. And honestly, I really don't know how I got over my stage fright to do that, but I think it's because it's such a specific process that we had to learn how to do, so it was almost like a script. And it's also something I'm very, very passionate about, is safety and having people understand the risks behind things and learn how to protect themselves. So I think that was a big part of it. But in that, talking to people and kind of presenting, kind of doing like a little speech over and over again really helped me with my speaking skills, because I had none before that. I was super shy, had such crazy stage fright, so doing that really made me be able to speak well. I think that's also translated to me being able to make videos, because I try and be as concise as possible, even though I feel like I'm really rambling in this video. I try and be as concise as possible and be as educated as possible about things that I'm talking about with you all. Also, I would say to somebody who is on the fence about even going to college at all, try and just go to a community college and maybe get your AA, because even though to you it might seem like a waste of time, like what you're truly gaining in that experience is a lot of real life skills. You're learning how to manage your time, you're learning how to maybe write properly, speak eloquently. You're learning real life skills that you're going to use for the rest of your life, and I'm very thankful for my undergrad college experience because it really helped me now. Okay, Megan asks, what was your favorite thing to do to relax while you were in school in Davis or in general? Smiley face, heart your videos. I love going to house shows like I previously mentioned through the local radio station KDVS. It was an awesome place to find out about new bands and meet really cool people. Most of the time the shows were donation based, so it didn't really cost any money to go, and you just get to hang out in a cool environment and meet cool people. I also really liked to rock climb at the time. I have never told y'all this, but I was really into rock climbing. I would go with my roommate Ashley, and rock climbing is such an awesome social sport, at least at the gym that I would go to. You know, if you're doing a set, people will come over and help you out, give you pointers, and you know, if you fall, it's not a big deal because the mat is really bouncy, and it just gives you a lot of drive. So we would do that like almost even maybe 3 times a week. We'd go to the rock climbing gym, and I also really love to go get boba and popcorn chicken. So that was kind of our thing that we did after rock climbing. Not every single time, obviously, because that would be crazy, but I love me some good boba. Alright, last question. Kristen asks, how do you prepare for grad school and how different was it from undergrad? My grad school is actually quite different than other grad schools. First off, it's a 3-year, 9-month program full-time, which is crazy long, but in order to get in, you really just need to have a degree and a good GPA, and you pretty much could get into the program. And I didn't realize that it literally takes over your life is one thing about grad school that's so crazy. Like, I think in undergrad you can have your job and your social life, and school is just part of your life, but it isn't your life. At least that's the way it was for me. But grad school completely enveloped my life, and at the time when I was doing grad school, I was going to school, commuting, working as well, and doing YouTube, or trying to, and it was just so crazy. I was really running myself into the ground, and I think that's just what you have to realize, is that for that set amount of time that you're doing grad school, like, that's going to be your life. And there's actually really nothing wrong with that if that is what you're truly passionate about. I'm truly passionate about acupuncture and Chinese medicine. It has made a huge impact on my life, but for now I feel like I'm trying to pursue YouTube, and I could definitely go back to that if I wanted to. People have actually asked me in the past why I went into acupuncture and Chinese medicine. I've never actually explained this, but I guess I could just go ahead and tell y'all now. How should I start this off? So Chinese medicine has been in my family for a long time. We've always had herbs and stuff growing up. When I was in middle school, my mom got really sick. She actually got cancer, and she had treatments back then, but it pretty much, the cancer went into remission and kept kind of popping out, or she kept getting sick, but it was never enough to do chemo, which sounds really crazy, but when I was in my last year of college, it came out and she had to go do chemo, and it just wrecked her body. They were giving her all these crazy medications, like medications for the side effects of other medications, and it just like totally blew my mind how much the whole process was wrecking her body. She started doing acupuncture for anxiety, and she started taking herbs to try and get the toxins out of her body because it was just, you know, just stuck up in there. And I think, or she thinks that it did help. That whole process kind of really opened my mind to Chinese medicine and herbal medicine, because I think a lot of Western medicine, what it does is it tries to cover up symptoms, and it doesn't actually try to fix problems. And what herbal medicine can do is truly fix problems, and what acupuncture can do is solve stagnation in the body. And a lot of times that's what sickness and illnesses, ailments are, is stagnation in the body that just needs to be released. So yeah, that's all my whole story about why I went into acupuncture. My mom's good now. She went through chemo. It was really crazy. She had stage 4 lymphoma, and she went through it, and it was a crazy time. It was just really, really crazy time. So I am very, very passionate about Chinese medicine, and I think that it is something that I will practice for the rest of my life. If I eventually have kids, I'll have them take herbs and stuff, because it really works. It comes from the earth. You would think that we need to put things in our bodies that are natural and come to the earth. So yeah, just went really deep in a Q&A video, but yes, alright. Okay, I didn't really want to end on that. It's not a dark note, actually. It's really not a dark note. I think it's good for me to put it out there for y'all to know, like, something that I guess my family's gone through. But yeah, my mom's good now, so don't worry. Yeah, alright. That was my entire school Q&A. I hope y'all were into it. Let me know if you want to see more Q&As in the future. I am totally down to do this. Leave me a like if you're into this video. If you have Instagram, you can find me at SoothingSista, and I'll see you in the next one.